Hey everyone, Alice here and welcome back to my never-ending tea party and the next part of Ace Attorney Investigations. Get yourself comfy with a nice hot drink as we continue with episode 3, The Kidnapped Turnabouts. Previously we heard a confession from Lauren Porps, Lance's girlfriend, that she not only was involved in the kidnapping plot, but that she was the one who murdered Oliver Deacon. Unfortunately though, Agent Lang has come along and thrown a spanner in those works, so we've got to fight through his logic before Edgeworth can continue to figure out the truth. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I recommend watching from part 6 of the link playlist in the description, as that is when the current episode begins. And let's go. So Lang has got another possibility, of course he does. Let's see what he's got to say. I'll grant you that the two of them are father and daughter. But isn't it possible that they both knew that fact? It was no coincidence that the reunited pair became involved in the house of Amano. And the two of them made good use of their meetings to plan this little kidnapping. Wouldn't you say my scenario is perfectly probable as well? It's probable. It's definitely probable. So, this is his version of how things might have been. You don't have any proof that either one didn't know of their true relationship, right? You mean they knowingly committed the kidnapping as father and daughter? That's right, as one really rotten family. Is that really what happened? I'd better take a long, hard look at the evidence. But what about the, there's a third kidnapper. Let's press him on this one. You mean how they plotted to commit this crime as blood relatives? Can you think of a better partner? They're certainly a clever pair. The butler and the girlfriend. No one would ever suspect that they were, in fact, family. Yes, from the very beginning, they painstakingly practiced those roles well. Yeah, I think this, because let's say, just for example, Oliver Deacon was in the blue badger costume. Lauren Porps was in the proto badger costume. Who was in the final costume? We know there are 3, so who was the third? Let's present this. Objection! Ooh, that was it, I think. This kidnapping wasn't planned by just 2 people alone. And what kind of proof do you have of that? Quite simply, there were 3 kidnappers. 3? Oh, look, he's sweating. 4 costumes were stolen from the Wild Wild West area's back room. We found one of them in the kidnapper's hideout. But as for the other 3, we can assume they were being worn by 3 different people. We also found a set of 3 cups and 3 folding chairs that were used in the hideout. Ah, yes, of course. Yeah, there's that too. It all clearly points to a 3-man group. And I believe this third person is the real mastermind behind the kidnapping. Okay, why? Who is this mastermind? I present to you the brains behind the kidnapping. Wendy. It's Wendy. Get her locked up. No. I'm thinking it's either Lance or Ernest. I mean, I don't think it would be Ernest because the kidnapping plot was directly trying to take money from him. He would have no benefit from that whatsoever. Could it be Lance? It's the only one that makes sense. It's not going to be any of these guys. Let's try it. Lance Amano? Yes, this abduction was in fact schemed up by Lance himself. Recall what he said when he appeared before us. Did you see the faces of your kidnappers? No, I didn't see their faces, but 2. One was a woman. However, there were 3 kidnappers, which is in direct contradiction to what he said. But, I know I only saw 2 people. This guy was being held hostage. It's possible he couldn't see all 3 of them. Ah, yes, about when you were being held. I have my doubts about what happened then. Lance, would you mind telling us what happened while you were being held captive? I really don't remember much anymore. Honest. But if I don't tell you at least something, you won't believe me at all, will you? Lance's testimony. I didn't see it going this way, I have to say. I thought there was going to be some last-minute character who was involved. I was kidnapped yesterday morning. They had me shut in that room, blindfolded the entire time. But the kidnappers suddenly disappeared around the time I heard rain falling outside. My hands were cuffed, but it was a stroke of luck that they left me alone. I made my escape and ran away from that room as fast as I could. Through the underground passageway, I presume. Are you okay? Sorry, I really didn't want to recall that horrible ordeal, but now you believe me, right? No, not quite yet. Wow, Edgeworth's ruthless. Ah, how can you not? Why do you look at me with such icy daggers in your eyes? Because he's a prosecutor, and because they're all like that. I'll have you know, Agent Lang, a prosecutor's eyes are for discerning the truth. And should they be interpreted to be cruel at times, then so be it. Tch. There is a sticking point in Lance's testimony. Let's see what he offers up when I push a little. Yeah, let's press him. Okay, we probably don't need to press all of it. Yesterday morning. Yeah, that seems important.
Hold it!
Can you tell us about when you were abducted in a little more detail? It was a strange morning. I felt like I was right in the middle of a great calm. And where were you when you experienced this calm? Our family garden, of course. Where else could it have been? Well, I don't know. Calm down. Well, excuse me for asking. This child is more princess than prince. I was out taking a walk to shake off the morning blah. Then, out of the blue, someone from behind clamps a hand over my mouth. You didn't see your attacker? They must have used some drug to knock me out. Because before I knew it, I was off in La La Land again. When I woke up, I was in the kidnapper's hideout already, all tied up. Yeah, how did he make his escape if he was handcuffed? Yeah, let's press him on this one. Suspicious. How did you manage to escape? Yeah, my thoughts exactly. I wanted to just get out of there, but the door leading outside was locked. Oh no, it wasn't. Which is why I had to use the underground passageway to make my escape. I remember our escape to be equally as hard. This is an invaluable piece of testimony. I mustn't let it go unexamined. Alright, so he's added to it. Yeah, let's press him on this.
Hold it!
By underground passageway, you mean the one the staff uses to travel unnoticed? I suppose that's what it's for, but I didn't run into any staff members on my way out. And once I was up top, I was busy trying to find a member of the police. And that is when you found us congregated at the stadium, I suppose. Let me ask you then, how did you get a hold of the key to the underground door? That was easy. It was hanging right there in the room on the wall. Well, it was still there, look, Yeah, he can't have taken it unless he very kindly and neatly put it back. I do recall a key hanging on the wall, right beside the table. Boy, does that bring back memories of our situation and how we managed our escape. Indeed, and although the door in the floor of our room led to an underground room, the door in the floor of the room next door had a secret passageway. A secret passageway under a theme park. Oh, that just sounds like so much fun. I wonder, Is there something off about the way Lance made his escape? Yes. Because it was just propped open with this. It wasn't locked. He could have just pulled that out, and he could do that handcuffed. Present it. That statement just now contradicts this piece of evidence. How dare you call me a liar? And in such a loud voice, with evidence that doesn't make any sense. What? You have no idea how to put two ideas together to make a logical argument, do you? I didn't think my reasoning was as bad as that. No, neither did I, Edgeworth. Don't worry about it. Oh well, let's try it again. Yeah, I think I presented it to the previous one, which would have been wrong, obviously. Doesn't make sense. You say that the door leading outside was locked, but was it really? Uh-oh. We're talking about that room behind the saloon front, right? Look, I heard that it took quite a few men to get that thing open. Right, Sheena? Yes, that's correct. Then take a look at this. What is that? A sword? It's not an especially reliable one if it's broken like that. Allow me to start from the end. My conclusion is that the door was never locked. It was simply held shut by this sword, which was used to jam the handle. Lance, even though your hands were cuffed together, you could still use them. If that's the case, then why did you not just simply remove the sword and escape? Why didn't I? I was disoriented. Yes, that's it. I didn't notice it. As if I should accept such a bold-faced lie. You locked yourself in that room because you had to make yourself look like the victim. But you did not, in fact, possess the key to the door. That is why you used the propped sword to improvise and create a prison of your very own. You've been making this guy out to be one of the kidnappers for some time now. I wonder if you've forgotten something very important along the way. And what would that be? A motive. What else? Do you honestly think that an upright, pure boy like him would hatch up a completely pointless scheme such as kidnapping himself? Objection! Well, it's an objection battle now. This proves that Lance did indeed have a motive to commit this crime. Is it this? Was he in trouble? He got a letter from a loan company. Shall we try it?
Take that!
Let's try. To put it simply, Lance has a very urgent need for money. This is hardly your typical love letter. It is in fact a collections bill. It appears our upstanding boy has accumulated quite a debt. Isn't that right, Lance? Ugh. Looks like it's hard being the son of a rich man too. It must be rough when you have to resort to stealing from your own old man, huh? All right, I give up. I abducted myself. Lance! It's over, Lolly. In this life, we really are bound to our fates after all. All I wanted was to go with you to a new town, somewhere where no one would know us. I wanted us to be well off with that $1 million, but now, that dream is over. Oh, Lance! Then you were giving yourself up? Yes, I had planned to run away from this world with my Lolly. Oliver even helped us with the plan, but then he had to go and stab us in the back. He turned on you. Maybe he didn't want to split the ransom money. That's my guess. It happened almost right after you made the drop-off. When we were alone, he attacked me all of a sudden. After a brief struggle, I was able to contain him and keep him under control. We left him inside that room as Lolly and I made our escape. We wore different costumes and split up. Lolly left first in the blue badger costume. That would mean the person Officer Meekins saw was Miss Porps. But right then, the old man just had to wake up. I was careless and he tackled me pretty hard from behind. Then Oliver put on a bad badger costume. took the suitcase with the $1 million and ran. I contacted Lolly right away and warned her that he had a gun. They had no idea that they were related, so I thought that it could only end badly. I still don't believe it. That person was not my father. Because if he was, I just killed my own father. Ah. Lolly, then it was really you? The chain of events. Okay. Let's see what she's got to say. That man was not my father. I mean, because at the stadium, there was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with the $1 million in it. But that badger pointed his gun at me, aiming to shoot me dead. But it's just a prop. That's why I used the gun I got from Lance. There was a gunshot, the other person crumpled to the ground, and I ran, scared for my life. But that does match up with Wendy's testimony, doesn't it? It does match up. I think the big picture is finally coming into focus, don't you? Lolly, forgive me. I didn't think it would turn into something so frightening. If only I could have protected you. So, Miss Porps, she shot her own dad without even knowing who he really was? If what she says is true, it's really tragic, isn't it? Are you saying she's lying? But why would she lie about something like that? What purpose would it serve? You would be surprised how often people lie without even realising it themselves, Kay. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? What I mean is listen very carefully to her confession once more, and you'll see. Aiming to shoot me dead. Well, the gun on the badger costumes... Let me just have a quick look at this. Yeah, the gun that the badger has is a... Like that weird proto-badger person told us. It's a fake. It can only shoot blanks. So maybe the person wasn't trying to shoot her dead. Well, let's press it. See if we can get some more info. Were you able to clearly see the gun? Ah, yes, asking about the gun. Good. Yes, I got a very good look at it while it was pointed at me. Oh, Father, why would you try to shoot me? Do you really think a father would shoot his own daughter, Mr. Edgeworth? I don't know. I don't want to believe it myself. But it's true. My father's left arm was raised with a gun in it. Pointed straight at me. I'm about to die, I thought. Miss Porps. Please, calm down and take a deep breath. And then, would you allow me to please hear that last statement one more time? Yes, of course. I'm always suspicious in these kind of things when they specify a left or a right hand. Let me check something. Aha! I remember seeing this when I read it the first time. I thought, yeah, Colin Devereaux, yeah, male, dominant hand, right, and I thought, oh, what's weird? Why would they write his dominant hand on his prison information, on his police dossier? I suppose, you know, for evidence purposes and whatever, but it's this, isn't it? It can't have been him because he wasn't right-handed. He wasn't left-handed, sorry, he was right-handed. That was easy. I feel like I stumbled into that. It doesn't feel deserved. I have here a dossier on your father. And according to this, your father was right-handed. Then... The person pointing a gun at you from atop the stage was not Mr. Deacon. Oh, Lang, give it a rest. Hold on there, Mr. Prosecutor. I think you need to take a refresher course. The bad badger has a model gun attached to his right hand. That's what I was thinking, actually. I was like, well, it could still have been him, like... Which is why the only hand he could have held the real gun with was his left. But it is a blank, it's not a real gun. Isn't it possible that it went down like that? Agent Lang, were you paying attention to what Miss Porps was saying? Then again, I suppose I can't expect someone who has never set foot in a court to catch it. Enough with the smugness. Out with it already. Miss Porps told us earlier. There was a bad badger pulling the suitcase with the 1 million in it. According to you, the bad badger had the gun in his left hand, which would mean that he was pulling the suitcase with his right hand. Oh, and we did find the costume. It's not showing us in this. It was ripped off, and it had its hand was like ripped, so maybe they ripped the gun off to pull the costume. Is that correct, Miss Porps? Yes, exactly. And I'm sure it was the bad badger. It had those huge sunglasses on its face. But if that's the case, even I can see there's a huge contradiction. Oh, he's learning. He's learning from Edgeworth. Yes, Miss Porps claims to have seen the bad badger. And yet, the bad badger had both of his hands full. These two pieces of information contradict each other, so one must be wrong. What did he just say? The bad badger had both of his hands full. Had those huge sunglasses on its face, but the bad badger also has weird trousers. How can we see it, this one? It also has the trousers, and I think that the trousers are as much a giveaway as any too, right? I'm gonna hesitantly go with this. She might have been mistaken. Maybe they just put sunglasses on the costume. They could have also ripped the gun off the hand. Let's try it. They are both correct. Impossible. That just leaves us with an irresolvable contradiction. Miss Porps' entire statement rests on the fact that she saw his sunglasses and beard. But what if that bad badger wasn't wearing pants on his lower half? This proves that there was a way for the bad badger to freely use both of his hands. Is it this? Because it was ripped off.
Take that!
Maybe? Get your head on straight, Mr. Prosecutor. That doesn't show me diddly squat. Well, it kind of does, but okay. I knew it. What I saw was just a mirage. Wait, I can explain. Oh. They swapped the heads around. Right, I see now, I see. The costumes have two parts to them, a head and a body. Oh, I get it now. The head Miss Porps saw was probably really the head of a bad badger. However, is it not possible that the body was that of an entirely different badger? A different badger? Yes, or to put it more bluntly, I believe it was the lower half of this badger. Well, it can't be the pink badger because that was an entirely different colour. If I remember correctly, Porps was wearing the blue badger costume already. And it wasn't the bad badger one because we just figured it out that it can't have been. So by process of elimination, it must have been a proto badger costume.
Take that!
It can't be any of the others. What? The heck is it? It's the proto badger. Yes, and it's a simple matter of process of elimination. Yeah, exactly. See? Miss Porps was wearing the blue badger's costume, so we can eliminate that one. Yeah, I was right in thinking that, because I would have remembered if it was a proto badger. And the pink badger is the wrong colour, which would have been incredibly obvious. All that is left is the proto badger costume. Miss Porps, who was the one who wore the proto badger costume? That would be Lance.
Not so fast!
Huh. Are you saying what I think you are? That Lance Amano donned the bad badger's head and pretended to be Mr. Deacon? On top of which, he plotted to shoot Miss Porps while wearing that hideous thing? The stage that was set up in the stadium was nothing more than that, a setup. And its purpose was to lead Miss Porps into believing she had committed murder. Standing there in front of Miss Porps and pretending to be the victim. It was all done so that she would pull the trigger. I have no idea what you're talking about. Why exactly would I have had to do all that, huh? There is but one reason, Lance Amano. You are the real culprit behind the murder of Mr. Oliver Deacon. What? No! That's slander. Take it back. You take it back right now. Just out of curiosity, Lance, which is your dominant hand? I'm left-handed, but what does that have to do with anything? It depends. According to Miss Porps, her attacker held a gun in his left hand. It could be a setup, though. Who is what-handed doesn't prove a thing. And besides, now you're just being absurd. It's not like the proto-badger is bulletproof. One misfire and he would have found himself dead, right?
Objection!
No, that's not right. I've been waiting. I've been waiting to bring up the fact that it shoots blanks. Of course, logically, if he had been shot, he probably wouldn't be here with us. But I believe he had thought of that as well, and prepared accordingly. And this should be all the evidence you need. This is how Lance made sure that he wouldn't be hit by a bullet. The model gun! Finally! I'm actually confident about this one. We found one half of a bad badger costume in the hideout, a broken one. It was not the same one that the victim was wearing, plus it was missing something. And that something is the model gun that the bad badger carries, which can fire blanks. What? Miss Porps, where is the gun you used now? I threw it away into the sea. That makes it a bit tough to verify what it was, although I believe that we can safely assume that it was the model gun in question. I've heard enough. All you've been spouting so far is pure conjecture. I admit that as long as the model gun is lost to us, I can't prove I'm right. However, I can say that the probability that I am right is very high. Okay, let's pretend that you're right and that the murder at the stadium was a fabrication. In that case, where do you think the murder really took place, Mr. Prosecutor? I don't know yet. Ha! I knew you were full of it. However, I do believe that the murder took place during an earlier time frame. Ah. Please, wait a second. It's simply not possible. Because I saw Mr. Deacon after he was restrained by Lance. She saw the victim in the state of being restrained? Wow, another testimony. Okay. I came back to the hideout long after the other two. By that time, Lance had already subdued and restrained Mr. Deacon. He had tied Mr. Deacon securely to the beam in the room next door. After that, the two of us put on our costumes and made our escape. God, this case is a mess. So, Mr. Deacon must have escaped after the two of you left, right? We thought that it'd attract too much attention if we left together, so I left first. We planned to meet up again at the stage in the stadium. But then, as I was walking through the park, I got a call from Lance on my cell phone. Oliver managed to escape. It looked like he was waiting until I was alone. He also stole the gun from me at that time. And then the murder happened. Mr. Deacon must have overheard their plan to meet up at the stage. Well, Mr. Prosecutor, Miss Porps saw the victim with her own eyes. Which means that the victim was still alive at that time, wouldn't you agree? Why does that sound wrong to me? There must be something amiss about this account. Let's see what happens when I examine it in more detail. I wonder. Let's press this one.
Hold it!
Seems interesting. How did Lance look at that time? He looked shocked. He also looked a little down. When I saw that sadness in his eyes, Thank you, that's enough for now. And what of Mr. Deacon? What was his situation like? Okay, let's press this one.
Hold it!
You are sure that it was Mr. Deacon that you saw? Yes, I'm certain of what I saw. Did you go into the other room to check? Lance said that it was best if I didn't get too close to him. Lance, he's such a kind soul. Yeah, a kind soul who stages a kidnapping and nearly kills somebody, or perhaps does kill somebody, because he's in debt. Yeah, very kind. Then, are you telling me that you did not confirm that it was Mr. Deacon for yourself? I checked through the slit in the door that separates the two rooms. He had a bad badger's head on, so I'm absolutely sure. Huh? No, that doesn't mean that it was Deacon. I could have been there with a bad badger head on. That just had to be Mr. Deacon. She saw a bad badger head. But wasn't Edgeworth being held in that room as well? Let's press her on this.
Hold it!
And that bad badger head was in the room when Edgeworth woke up, right? So, the tied up Mr. Deacon was still in his bad badger costume. Yes, and it would appear that she misread the whole situation. What now? Should I raise an objection? Yeah, I think she might have seen Edgeworth, you know. The person you saw was not the victim. What? Why not? I will tell you why not, with this. This, Miss Port, shows us that the person you saw was not the victim. This was what we found on the floor. Can we present the profile? No. Okay. Yeah, so we found this on the floor. Edgeworth found it on the floor, but there was no sign of Deacon. Right? Miss Porps, the person you saw was not Mr. Deacon at all. Huh? The person you actually saw was this person. It was me. It was me. Huh? The person I saw was you, Mr. Edgeworth? I always thought it was a bit odd. Why would the kidnappers abduct me, even after I had handed over the ransom? Yeah, it's a bit strange. Uh-oh, he's sweating. Look at him. He's trying to look nonchalant, but it's not as though I saw the face of the kidnappers. If I were them, I would have just taken the $1 million and ran. But in the end, there was a point to it all. It was to make me look like Mr. Deacon. And if that was the reason for which I was abducted, then I believe we can assume that the victim was already dead at that time. Well, Lance, am I right? That's... You showed Miss Porps a person, namely me, with a bad badger's head on, and then made your costumed escape together. Or so you pretended. Huh? What do you mean, he pretended? Exactly that. I believe Lance watched you escape and then doubled back to the hideout. Probably to come and remove the bad badger head from my unconscious self. And to create his fake prison with the prop sword. He then escaped via the passageway. Hold your tongue, boy. Don't get caught up in that tidal wave of words coming out of Mr. Prosecutor's mouth. Tidal wave? We've heard a lot come out of you, but I've yet to see a shred of evidence. The victim's betrayal and his subsequent detainment. All of that could have happened while you were out cold. That's right. You were out for quite a while, Mr. Prosecutor. Even if that were the case, Miss Porps would have still seen me tied to that beam. I was scared of Mr. Deacon, so I didn't go into the next room. So I really have no idea if you were in there or not, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, it would seem that you can't prove a thing. Ugh. Who said that? Was it Amano? Please, wait. Mr. Amano. Ho ho ho, Miles, my boy. It looks like you're really giving it your all. And Lance, it's not good to cause trouble for others. Dad. Let's see. You are the one in charge of the investigation, correct? Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry that my son has been nothing but trouble. This probably won't make up for anything, but I have some evidence for you. Oh, do you now? Is that what I think it is? It's the bad badger costume the victim was wearing, and a gun. I couldn't wait around for the police, so I went and found these myself. Where? They look wet. It appears that they were disposed of in the sea. Is there no one in this country who actually obeys the law? There now. Agent Lang, please, calm down. Huh? What the heck is that scrap of paper? This appears to be a letter from the Chief of Police. Please allow Mr. Amano complete freedom to do as he sees fit, it says. What? The Chief of Police? What the? Just who does he think he is? The person who wields the highest authority in this area. Ho ho ho. There now. There is no need to be so upset. Huh. I'm not a cop from this land, so I'm not bound by the laws of your country. Yes, you are. If you are in the country, you are bound by the laws of said country. Oh, but he speaks so slowly. Now. This wasn't meant to strong-arm you into anything. It's just a request. I'm only asking that you please respect the laws of the land. I can't really say no to that. However, returning to the topic at hand. It doesn't matter who found the evidence. Its value remains unchanged. Alright now, let's take a look at this new evidence. I've already got the results back. Amano, you're being a little bit suspicious. I had a special forensics research lab that I'm on good terms with conduct the tests. They verified that the blood on this costume belonged to Oliver. As for the gun, the only fingerprints they could find were yours, Lauren. What? You disappoint me, Miles. I can't believe that you would cause my son such stress and heartache. Thank goodness I was able to find the final pieces of evidence. I don't trust him. With this, you'll have no reason left to push my poor boy around. That's it? These are the case-making pieces of evidence? I'll be the judge of that. Right, let's get investigating. I can't help but notice this shard of glass. So let's have a look at that. What's this? Looks like there's something inside the costume head. Hey, they sparkle. I bet they're really valuable. Sorry, but they're just pieces of a mirror. But why are they in here? Oh, wasn't there a mirror in the manor, the haunted mansion? And then we found it in the kidnapper's hideout. But I can't see why how they're connected though. Okay, let's look at the bullet hole. This bullet hole. It looks kind of burnt around the edges. Wait, those burn marks were left by the gunpowder. This is a most important fact. Wouldn't that mean it was shot quite close up? Why is that? because it is proof that the victim was shot at point-blank range. Yeah, because the burn from the gunpowder wouldn't happen if it was far away. Okay, what about the gun? Could this gun be the actual murder weapon? Okay. Oh, that's it. Okay. Well, are these not the most definitive pieces of evidence you've ever seen? Thank you, Dad. This should be enough to convince even Mr. Edgeworth over there. Are they in on it? Make no mistake, there are fingerprints on that murderous gun. And they prove that it was Lolly who killed Oliver. Oh, you're turning on your girlfriend, wow. But Oliver was also after Lolly's life. So, Mr. Edgeworth, even you must see that Lolly was only acting in self-defence. Okay, so he's trying to spin the whole self-defence thing. The fingerprints on the weapon, huh? Oh no, this isn't helpful at all. Look, Mr. Edgeworth, all I want to do is save Lolly. But in the end, all I can do is watch on as she takes the punishment for her crimes. That may be all you can do. However, I still have a case to solve and a job to do. The job of unravelling your insidious lie. You wound me. Why won't you believe me, even in the face of all this evidence? Okay, let's press this. I'm just going to press all of them because honestly I'm not really sure. Those fingerprints, are you sure they belong to Miss Porps? There's no mistake about it. Wouldn't they have been washed off in the sea? Through my connections, I had the best forensics techniques money can buy performed. I find that to be a bit peculiar. What? Are you trying to pick an argument with me? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Well, Edgeworth himself said it was peculiar, so I suppose so. Frankly, I don't believe that Miss Porp's prints should be on that gun to begin with. And the reason why Miss Porp's prints should not be on the gun is... Oh, wait, hang on. How could there be fingerprints? Wasn't she wearing a costume? Because this is what Wendy saw, right? Wendy saw the two badgers facing down in the stadium, and Wendy even said that the two of them were wearing costumes. And if Lauren was wearing the blue badger costume, if we look, they've got hands, like the hands are part of the costume. Yeah, it must be. It's simply not possible for Miss Porps to have left any prints on the murder weapon. Because, while she was at the stadium, Miss Porps was wearing a costume. Huh? But there's been no mistake. We found the fingerprints. Well, Miss Porps, do you remember touching the gun at all, at any time? Yes. As a matter of fact, I did hold it for a bit back in the hideout. I handed it off to Mr. Deacon when he and Lance left for the haunted house. To retrieve the ransom money, I suppose. And there you have it. That is when Miss Porps's prints found their way onto the gun. Grrr. Do you understand now, Mr. Amano? The fingerprints do nothing to prove that Miss Porps is the murderer. But you still don't have anything to prove that she isn't the killer, right? I kind of feel sorry for her. Everyone's just ganging up. Yeah, look, like what Edgeworth's saying here. You seem very adamant about insisting that your girlfriend is a cold-blooded killer. Oh, Lance! What? No way! I'm incredibly worried about her. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't have any evidence, right? Lauren, girl, you can do so much better than Lance, honestly. He's just throwing you under the bus. That's where you're wrong. I have the evidence. The evidence for what? I wasn't paying attention. You don't have any evidence about... her not being the killer, right? What? How? The story that Miss Porps killed the victim at the stage in the stadium. The whole affair is simply not true. Because that was not the real crime scene, but a setup. This proves that the real murder was not committed at the stadium at all. Could it be this? Because, like, that mirror was at the haunted mansion where the handoff happened. It's the only thing I can think of. We're kind of done with this, and lots of things are kind of done with. Why were they there in the first place exactly? I think Lance accidentally killed him, or purposefully, perhaps, killed Deacon in the manor during the handoff whilst trying to maybe wrestle the money off him. And in the kerfuffle, Lance shot him point blank because they're wrestling the money, maybe. I don't know, that's where my mind's going at the minute. Uh-oh, I think I've done this wrong. This piece of evidence proves that the real crime scene is not, in fact, the stadium. Yeah, it's not right. Oh, hang on, what was that? That was kind of funny. Mr. Prosecutor, I'd have to rate that piece of logic a 0 out of 10. 0? It's at least a 6.8 out of 10. Edgeworth, that's so specific. Okay, let's have another think through then. Okay, yeah, the scenario where the victim was on the stage, Miss Porks was down below. Must be something. Let me have a look at the evidence again. Oh. Ah, he was shot from point blank range. So Porks can't have shot him because there was a distance between them. Right, it's this. Must be. Yeah, must be this. Let us take another good look at the costume the victim was wearing. Then, I believe you will see why I insist he was not shot at the stadium. Yeah, it's must be the bullet hole.
Take that!
The burn around this bullet hole was made when the victim was shot at point blank range. Ah, so then you mean the murder Miss Oldbag saw at the stadium really was... Yes, she saw two people, but they were separated by a distance. If the victim was indeed shot from below the stage, there shouldn't be a gunpowder burn. Ugh! Huh. Look at you, Mr. Smarty Pants Prosecutor. Since you seem to know all the answers, why not tell us where the real crime scene is then? I think I do know this. I think it's the haunted mansion. Lance sets me up to look like Mr. Deacon back at the hideout. If that's the case, then the murder must have happened prior to that. Yeah, when Edgeworth was knocked out at the handover. Yeah. The location where Lance and the victim were at just before I was imprisoned was... I've got it. I know where the real scene of the murder... sorry. The real location in which Mr. Deacon was killed is here. Haunted house.
Take that!
I think it's not unreasonable to assume the murder took place in the haunted house, and we've got the mirror fragments that I tried to use earlier. Yeah, I was jumping the gun a bit. Sometimes it happens in these games. You kind of skip a step, but the game wants you to go through bit by bit. The haunted house? Yes, and I have proof that it is highly likely that the victim was killed there. What proves that the real scene of the crime was the haunted house? Mirror.
Take that!
These were inside the costume the victim was wearing. They're fragments of a mirror. A mirror? And what does that have to do with anything? Indeed, you don't exactly expect to find pieces of a mirror inside a costume. Yeah, that's actually pretty dangerous. However, there is one place I can think of where there is a plethora of mirror fragments. And that is the haunted house. But why was the broken mirror in the kidnapper's hideout, though? Did Amano bring it with him? Lance Amano, I propose that you killed Mr. Deacon with the revolver in the haunted house. Are we playing Cluedo now? It sounds like something you'd say when you play Cluedo. After that, you stole the blue Badgermobile to move his body to the Wild Wild West area. The timing of when the blue Badgermobile was stolen confirms this as fact.
Miles, my boy, say no more.
I'm sorry, Mr. Amano, but I cannot do that. Be quiet.
Yes, please do something. Stop that boy from speaking any more nonsense.
Ernest Amano, correct? I meant you. Oh. Agent Lang redemption arc right here. I meant you. Now be quiet, Gramps.
How dare you?
I don't need words. The only thing I require is evidence. Decisive evidence. And to call these mirror bits decisive is a bit too presumptuous, Mr. Prosecutor. Oh, he's not quite our friend, I guess. What? Sheena, wasn't there a mirror in the kidnapper's hideout? Yes, there was a mirror there. A mirror that's for the haunted house. You see, isn't it possible the fragments got in the costume there? But, Agent Lang, there were no fragments on the floor, so the probability is very low. Probability? Ha 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 ha. Lang Zi says, on truth's path, the word probability does not exist. The only thing that does is definitive proof. The question, Mr. Prosecutor, is, do you have the definitive proof you need? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, do you? I don't think we do, not yet. I think we need to go and investigate the haunted house. Do I have solid evidence that proves the murder took place at the haunted house? The answer is no. See? So since you don't have any, shut up. I don't have the evidence yet, but I'm certain the murder occurred around the time I turned the ransom over. At that time, the only people at the haunted house besides myself were Lance and Mr. Deacon. If I can prove that the murder took place at the haunted house, then I can prove Lance's guilt in connection to the murder. What now, Mr. Edgeworth? Agent Lang, I have a special request. Yeah? I'd like to prove to you that the scene of the crime was indeed the haunted house. Why in the world are you asking the werewolf for permission? You kind of have to, Kay. He's in charge. Because I don't really have a choice if I want to find the truth. Alright, permission granted. But you're not to touch a single thing, got it? That won't be a problem. All that's important to me is that the truth be brought to light. It doesn't matter by who or how it's done, as long as it is. Tch. Sheena. I'm here. Put in the paperwork for the authorization immediately. Understood. I'll go get the Gatewater Group's approval. Who was that? Oh no, Amano, just give up.
Now, let's hold on for a second. There is no need to obtain approval.
Mr. Amano?
Agent Lang, if you would please take a look at this.
What is this? Sheena! It's the deed to the haunted house. The deed? Read it out loud. Gatewater Land Inc. hereby bequeaths the property known as the haunted house to Mr. Amano for the lump sum of $1 million, paid in full in cash.
What? Ho ho ho. As you can see, I am now the legal owner of the haunted house.
Oh, so we can't get in without his permission. But if this place is a crime scene, doesn't that supersede permission? Are you kidding? When did you...
I ran into the owner of the park earlier and we made the deal almost immediately.
But why? Why would you do that?
How quickly things move when you can prepare $1 million in the blink of an eye.
That $1 million you paid, don't tell me it was...
Oh, that's right. This disgusting suitcase belongs to you, doesn't it? I don't have any more use for it, so you may have it back now.
You used the ransom money?
My Lance is a good boy. He even apologised for the kidnapping a bit earlier. So I do believe that I will forgive him. After all, he did return the ransom money. That's the way things are, so if you would please discuss things with me from now on.
Discuss? What is there to discuss?
Why, permission to enter the haunted house, of course.
Uh-oh. Oh, that certainly messes things up a little. While we were busy listening to Lance's story, Mr. Amano was out there preempting us.
Permission to search the haunted house is denied. End of discussion. Agent Lang, I want you to arrest that girl. And Miles, you should hurry on home now, my boy, before I really lose my temper.
Mr. Amano definitely has the deck stacked in his favour here. What should I do? If I leave it like this, the truth will be lost forever. Ooh, okay, to be continued, right. Okay, so lots that has come about now. We've pretty much figured out that it was Lance who killed Deacon, but now it's just a case of his dad, Mr. Amano, is obviously trying to protect him. I would have liked to have finished this episode in this video, but whilst that didn't happen, I do think that we can definitely finish it next video. There can't be much more left. It's got to be one more, and then that will be the end of the kidnap turnabout. But anyway, thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. I really, really do appreciate you sticking all the way through to the end. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join my never-ending tea party too. It's always tea time here on my channel, and you are welcome anytime. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.